Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for coming along for the ride. Appreciate that. And we are going to get this party started a day late. Not $1 short, but a day late for sure. And I want to verify that I can be heard. All right, so that effect worked. That's good news. You just leave the sound effects. Hey, I can hear myself just fine. So hopefully you're doing well. And for the few of you who have got the memo that I was doing this the next day, which probably indicates that the regulars probably maybe not be able to make it, but totally fine. We want to. You'll also notice that I changed the show topic this morning, and there is a reason for that, and I'll explain that in just a second. But go ahead and throw your hellos in the chat if you're around. And hopefully this is going. I can see myself on YouTube, so I know it's working. All good. I have been away. I was away in Tulsa, Oklahoma, doing a project for a company that I do a little bit of work for. We were reorging the network, and I got everything in a really good place. And then yesterday I was gearing up to leave, and they came back and said something about, hey, these major things are not communicating together. So right up to the last minute, right up until the minute my Lyft showed up to take me to the airport, we were working on stuff, and I left my coworker kind of to look after things. He said he wasn't able to get to the bottom of it, and so today we will be communicating on what might be going on. But I'm going to be honest with you, I think I know what the issue is. They are using some legacy core switches that are 4300s, and these are Netgear 4300s. And that's a problem because 4300 is officially discontinued from the Netgear line, and they didn't buy them recently. These are legacy products. Now, granted, Netgear says that they're continuing to support them because they are in vast number of data networks and so forth, and so they need to continue to be supported. We did go through and we did a massive network upgrade and then found out that a bunch of stuff got bricked by the latest update. Now, that may not be a Netgear thing. That may be these 4300 specifically. It could be a handful of things, so it's not necessarily exclusive a Netgear problem, but man, we struggled to sort things out. So today that continues. My coworker will be on site today working through some stuff, but I told him I'm available at 11:30. So we got to get through our things today, and there's a switch today's show from what was going to be Peplink after 1 year. That show is now next week. This week I want to talk about Broadlink. And Broadlink, if you're not familiar with it, is a company that does like a universal remote type of product. And so we're going to talk through that because Logitech had something called a Harmony Hub, which has been discontinued, and they had a Harmony Remote, which I wasn't really interested in. I wanted the IR blaster that I could set up in my room and program on my phone and link to specific TVs, because there is a bigger project coming up once the drywall goes in the office in the next couple of weeks, where I'm going to be hanging large TVs in there and going to be using those for various reasons, one of which I'm going to need to be able to control with my phone, or at least with an IP. So there are lots of things going on here, discussions going on here that we need to address, and I will do all of that in the show. I just want to jump Randy on in here. What's going on, Randy? Good to see you. Hey, all. Hopefully you're doing well. Thanks for stopping on by. Appreciate that. Okay, so let's talk through Broadlink. So Broadlink is a device that you can purchase. They have various models. The one that you can get, I think it's called it's like some RM4 or something like that. That's a really common one. This one is known as the Max, the RM Max. And it's a little pyramid that sits just a little IR blaster, smaller than this box. Plugs in via USB-C. They do not give you a power brick for it, but it plugs in via USB-C, and it operates on the 2.4 gigahertz network. So they actually operates on BG and N. Now this is their newer model, but they don't have an AC or an AX model, which I think is strange because this one definitely should. Now, the claim of this product is that it will be able to integrate with your listening devices if you have any in the house. So Alexa or the almighty overseeing Oogle, the one that rhymes with Oogle. And this product can integrate directly with those accounts. So you can link those accounts that you have already with those services, and then you can tell those listening devices commands, hey, turn on the TV or whatever, and it will do those things. Now, I bought 2 of them because I have 2 places downstairs and up here in the bonus room that require control. And again, I have had a single Logitech Harmony hub that has worked really well for many years. However, like I said in the opener, they are no longer supported. Oh, that's interesting. They are no longer supported, Logitech, and they no longer make them. So you can buy them on eBay or whatever if you still want to use them. And those devices were great because what you could do is you could load all of your devices into a single platform. You could attach multiple Harmony hubs to them. So if you had one down here or one up here and one downstairs, they would both work independently. And depending on where you registered devices, it would fire that IR blaster. So it wouldn't just be an overall everywhere blast, because that's a problem with if you buy a whole bunch of the same TV, they're all going to have the same power on IR command, right? So if it sends a command to everywhere and says turn on, all your TVs will turn on, and in a moment there will not be 2 TVs in this house, there will be 5. So along with multiple monitors and such. So I don't want just a generic on-off command. I want to be able to say, hey, on that IR blaster, I want you to turn on, or on that IR blaster, I want you to turn off. And it would be even better if you could somehow register different TVs and change the IR command so that I want TV 3 to turn on, but not TV 2 and 1 that are also in the same place. Or I want TVs 1 and 2 to turn on, but not TV 3, and so on. So that really becomes, when you start talking about home automation and you start talking about really making this thing work for your practical uses, it can't just be like a general generic IR blast. It has to be specific. It has to understand specific TVs. And to be fair, Logitech did a great job of this back in the day. I had that device, probably bought that device 12 years ago now, and it was my first real step into home automation before my Z-Wave world and before voice commands and all of that sort of took off. I was using a Harmony hub, and it was great because I was sick and tired of having 12 remotes where I had to figure out, oh, this is for the DVD player, this is for the TV, this is for the stereo, this is for yada, yada, yada. And then you get something like a Nintendo Wii, and that has 4 remotes. And then you have an Xbox 360, that's my era, or an original Xbox. You've got 4 remotes for that. And so you just like have these piles of wireless devices that are building up around your house, around your living spaces, around your room, and then you have to figure out a management system for all of that stuff. Well, wouldn't it be great if you could just remove all of the entertainment system devices into one device? And they had something called the Harmony Hub Remote, which was a physical remote that you could program all of your remotes into, and it basically took everybody down to one, and you could safely put away all of the remote controls for each of your services or each of your devices and just have one. But I hate remotes. I actually, quite frankly, don't want them cluttering up my space. I want to pack them away in the corner of a box, take the batteries out so they don't leak acid all over the place, and just store them away and not even have a remote. Instead, I want to walk in, I want to tell my system, turn on the TV, or let's watch a movie, or whatever. And it would be even better if I could give it custom commands. Now, Logitech Harmony didn't stick around long enough to join the BitFocus companion game. And so the APIs that are for Logitech Harmony Hub are not integrated very well, or at all. I don't know. I'll have to look it up, I guess. With the BitFocus companion, which all of us are growing to love because we can integrate our X keys, we can integrate a Stream Deck, we can integrate a lot of things, and you could even get touch panels that, excuse me, okay, gotta get like that burp up. You can even get touch panels that you could mount a touch screen to a wall and just have the emulator showing. Or if you go BitFocus buttons and it looks a little cleaner, it looks a little nicer, you can put those around the house. Oh, I just had an interesting idea. All right, so you can do a lot of integration with BitFocus Companion, but obviously the modules have to be available. Now, when I bought, the reason this conversation started was I was on my way to NAB, and I was in an airplane that didn't have Wi-Fi. Southwest dropped the ball on that one. And so we didn't have Wi-Fi, and I landed in Vegas, and of course we were several hours now behind my wife and kids. And about an hour and a half into my flight, they had problems turning on the system to watch a movie. And they ended up abandoning that idea. The kids were already in bed by the time I got around to it, and opportunity was missed for my wife to share a movie with my kids. And so I said, well, that's Harmony Hub. It actually doesn't work downstairs because I only have one, and I haven't bought a second system yet. You know what? I'm going to fix this. There must be a product on the market that can basically replace the Harmony Hub now. And to my delight, for $50 a pop, I found Broadlink MAX units. I pumped the brand name and model into Grok AI and started researching. Tell me about this. What I got back was, unfortunately, some misinformation. And I don't blame Grok. I blame myself for not verifying this. But I did get back some wrong data. I asked it that I wanted it to have a BitFocus Companion module. I wanted it to be able to control all of my devices, which are Yamaha, Samsung, and Google Chromecast, essentially. I want it to be able to select sources. I want it to be able to change volume. I want to be able to automate it through shortcuts, so I could create a page on my phone that would allow me to just put shortcuts on my phone. I could just hit volume up and it would change it on the TV. I don't have to log into an app to do any of that. Well, it came back and said Broadlink the Broadlink IR devices are the answer for you because these are the ones that you can get. So then I started looking as to okay, which is the newest one? And the MAX is the newest one that I could find. Then I ordered a couple of them. I went to NAB, I went to the show, started poking around there, whatever. Got back, downloaded the Broadlink app, put it on my phone, added the devices, started unboxing them. It went really fast. I was able to add the devices to Broadlink, the MAX. I was able to add all of my devices to it. And then I was able to control volume and change channels and stuff like that, although I don't watch TV in that television traditional sense. And started then going through the shortcuts app to create a page on my phone where I could just basically have a controller on my phone on the home screen. And came to find out that it didn't integrate with shortcuts. And I thought, that's strange. Went back to AI and punched in, hey, you and I talked the other day, and you said Broadlink Universal Remote MAX would communicate with shortcuts. And it said, oh yeah, you need the Broadlink Magic app, not the Broadlink Standard app. Okay. So I downloaded Broadlink Magic. Added the devices back to there. Added my TVs, my theater system, my screens downstairs, all that stuff to it. It all linked up again. I was like, okay. Went back into shortcuts. Sure enough, it showed up. As I got navigating through the Magic app, I started realizing that many of the buttons were missing from the remote control. Not only on my Yamaha stereo, but on the television itself and my devices downstairs. And so I started searching for, okay, how do I change sources? And there is a source button, but it's a source cycle button, meaning that it goes from input 1 to input 2 to input 3 to input 1 to input 2 to input 3 and so on. So you cycle through them. I also noticed that the app, the remote looks the exact same for all devices, which doesn't make a lot of sense because my stereo remote control has about 100 buttons on it. It's a Yamaha stereo receiver, and it's got tons of buttons. I mean, 100 is an exaggeration. Probably has about 30 or 40 buttons. My Samsung remote has about 6 buttons, and it is notorious for not having individual input buttons. Now, my Yamaha does. My Yamaha AV receiver, which is basically my theater receiver, has input 1 through 6 plus AV inputs and all sorts of things. It has all these individual inputs. The TV doesn't, but the TV has 4 HDMIs on the back. So it should have individual input buttons, or programmable buttons at least on the remote, that you can fast switch to each of them. Now, the Broadlink units will learn commands, and so you can tell it, for example, to program a generic button on one of the remotes to be input 1 or input 2 or input 3. Okay, so if you needed to have, the Yamaha remote, the individual buttons, if you need one of them consistently, you could program that into a thing. However, Samsung has individual inputs, but it does not have an input button on the remote, meaning that if you have a Chromecast plugged into HDMI 1, but then you have the theater system programmed into HDMI 2, which in this case I do, then you are unable to program a specific input, meaning that inside of the scenes that you're building in Shortcuts, you're not able to tell it, watch Chromecast, and it won't switch the TV to the correct input. You'll have to do that manually, which is like basic automation 101. Okay, I know there are ways to so I could map the input button to a button and then map that to a shortcut, and then when I press Chromecast on, then I can cycle through the buttons and change it. But that is not what I want. And I know that it can do it because Logitech Harmony Hub can change inputs without needing to be programmed by the remote. So then you go back and you start digging through, okay, well, how is it adding these IR sensors to my phone app, right? Because the question becomes, is it a generic kind of AV remote, or is it specific? Have they done the research to actually know what the TV model is, program the inputs, program the buttons? And as far as I can tell, it's just a generic power on, power off, generic volume up, volume down, because many of these TV manufacturers and AV manufacturers use a general code. And if you were ever alive in the early 2000s and you bought a universal remote from like Meijer or Walmart or something like that, you will remember the paper that comes with it. And it's like, if you have a Samsung receiver, try these 12 codes. And you have to punch the little code in and hit enter, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. You test it and it doesn't turn it on. You got to do the next code. Those days are long behind us, thankfully. A lot of this is automated. However, in this instance, it appears that Broadlink has just taken all of the universal, most generic codes and only used those. And so when you add a device to Broadlink, it says, here, these are the 3 most common Samsung TV codes. Try this one and tell us if it doesn't work. So you try it and you press the power button. If it turns on, you say, yeah, that one works. It says, great, we set you up. There's nowhere in there then to custom codes, and there's no way to teach Broadlink how to change a feature on the TV that's not on the remote. That's a problem for me. Yeah? Because I need to be able to tell it an API command to change the input. So, all of that has been 20 minutes, basically, of my overall thing. Now, I said the good, the bad, and the ugly. That was the title of this show, I believe. The good news is that it does work. And I think, honestly, if you were not me and you just want the ability to power on your TV, and the input doesn't change on the TV, if everything goes through your theater AV receiver, you could probably get away with one of these, because it will power on, it will change volume settings. You can then program that inside of Apple Shortcuts, and you can tell the Apple Shortcut, by the way, instead of pressing volume once, press it 3 times. So mine goes up in half decibel increments. So if you press the volume once, it goes up half a decibel. Well, usually when I am changing the volume, I'm wanting it 1 or 2 decibels more. So you can actually program the shortcut to when you hit volume up, it presses it 4 times for you. And that's actually very convenient. I also find that placement is not super important. So this thing is an actual IR tower, and the transmitter's in the top of it. So as long as you have fairly clear line of sight, or it is inside the system, inside the cabinet where the rest of the system is, it will fire just fine off of the top of the IR blaster. That's kind of, I'm assuming, where it is. So there are 2 little link lights on the front that tell you if it's connected to Wi-Fi and if it's operational. And then there is a reset button and a USB-C power connection there. That's it. That's the whole thing. Very small. It's the size of your hand, essentially, almost. And just kind of, it's black, so it neatly tucks in, a little incognito style unit, and it comes with a USB-C cable. However, so that's really good. That's a great feature. It seems to work if you're just a basic, hey, I just want to get rid of all these remotes and I just want to power it on and change the volume and change the channel. The channel function works as well. All the basic functions are there. If, however, you're using multiple inputs on the back of the TV, if you're using multiple inputs on your TV receiver or on your amp or receiver unit that is integrated into a greater theater system, I'm not so sure that this is the right product, because it really only does generic things. And its big marketing tool on the side here is that it is RF and IR control, which means, by the way, that it will do like smart lighting. If you have Wi-Fi lights, it'll do those as well. I'm using this primarily for my theater system. I have a whole SmartThings rig with Zigbee and Z-Wave that I use. Remote control for voice activated, again with the listening devices. 50,000 plus IR code on cloud options. Okay. And scene control, so you can load multiple things into a scene, hit that scene, and it should turn on those sequences. Again, that's great as long as the scenes, as long as it will allow you to change the inputs on those devices. I don't seem to be able to find a way, and I haven't given up easily here, but I don't seem to find a way where I can easily change the inputs on the TV or the on the amplifier that goes to my stereo system. And perhaps I'm missing something. But last but not least, and this is the deal breaker for me, is there is no API for the Broadlink unit. There was one back in the day, but they have since taken it down and no longer have it available. I verified this. Unfortunately, when I asked AI the first time when I was landing in Vegas, it said, yeah, there's an AI for it, and there's a companion module. I got home. They were sitting on the counter. I got home. I opened companion. There was nothing. And then I started looking for the REST API commands, and they were no longer available. So that is kind of a done deal for me. I need something that I can program, because the end goal here is to have all the functionality that I had with Harmony Hub, which was a product that is easily 15 or 20 years old at this point, and having the ability to program a companions or a Stream Deck or something where my wife could come and hit a button on the wall or on top of the device, and it would turn everything on, the correct inputs, start the system up, and give her the ability to watch a movie or change the volume or do something like that. The other item that I will also integrate is probably multiple pages on a Stream Deck, or maybe I'll just get a 15-button modular unit and then attach it to a PoE USB unit that I could just then put up there on my TV. And then she could, press the eject button and it would send an eject command. So all that to say is, look, I think these are not bad. They're just not for me. I don't think that I'm going to be able to use them, and a return has been started because I need to get something that will work correctly. So there we go. We shall go down that path in a moment. And I'll tell you actually kind of what I think I'm going to try and in the future. But first, hey, bonus John on a Friday. Yes, so I was away this week from Monday morning until yesterday afternoon, evening. Great story there is I got to the Tulsa airport, got through TSA in about 5 minutes, which is what my coworker had said, and had some time. And as I was walking towards my gate, I walked past a gate that was announcing, hey, the plane for Nashville has just arrived, and we'll begin boarding as soon as we offload this crew, which meant that I had about 20 minutes. And as I was walking there, I opened my Southwest app, and it said, look for additional flight standby. Now, I was flying to Dallas and then to Nashville, and this flight was going directly to Nashville. So I was wondering, maybe there's an open seat on there I could get. Sure enough, I was able to join the standby list, and about 2 minutes later, I was assigned a seat, which was awesome, because then that meant I got home multiple hours earlier. I got to see my family and my kids before they went off to bed. And I was able to grab something to eat and come home. So it was great. It worked really well. They canceled my other flights. They printed me a ticket for this one. I was given a seat almost right away, and all was well. So really happy with the way that worked out yesterday, and I was able to get home at a decent time. So I was away, which meant yesterday I wasn't able to do the show at the regular time. But today I want to cut out some time to do this. And I have about an hour left. I probably won't use the whole thing, but I do want to show you what I plan to maybe try next time, because for my next installment of automation, because actually that same coworker that I was working with, he said, oh, you know what I've used for years for IR control, and it has a full API that you can integrate with Companion, is a product called... Sorry, let me pull this up here so you can see. Is a product called IP to IR, ITAC TCP IP to IR converters, and it looks something like this. This is a very basic, like, Raspberry Pi device. It connects anywhere on your network, and then as long as you have a plug, with your entertainment system, and I surely do. And then you can plug in a little IR blaster into one of those 3 ports on the front. And you could run those to anywhere you want. In theory, you should, put the IR blaster in front of the IR receiver that is on the device. And so I'll give that a try. I'll do some placement options. But I think this is what I'm going to try next. And this was just based on a suggestion that my friend from this week had said, we use these all the time. Matter of fact, the church we were at formerly used these, and then they swapped them out for something else, something probably more expensive. But for $100, which was the same price as Harmony Hub, you can get this little IR blaster. This is way more, though. This is way more basic than the Broadlink ones. Broadlink has already done all the legwork in terms of getting the IR codes and everything. This one will take me a little bit more time to figure out, and so in a show, probably in a month, I will go through my experience with this and whether or not this is going to work for me. But he had said that no, actually the API commands are fairly intuitive. There is a companion module for this product, and I said, so if I wanted to run Companion for my entertainment system, could I just install it on like a Raspberry Pi or something like that? He said, absolutely. So what did I do? But I pulled a Raspberry Pi 3 that I had just chilling downstairs. It was actually running, believe it or not. It didn't need to be. But I use BitFocus buttons up here, and then I use Companion on my Mac to run DaVinci codes, so I can hit a button and it blades the timeline and all that sort of good stuff. Let me just pull this up here real quick. So I was able then to fire up BitFocus Companion for Raspberry Pi, put that image on there this morning, and that came right up real fast. You just go to the IP address at port 8000, and sure enough, the module comes up. Sorry, I need to get back to vMix. The module comes up, and then you're able to make some basic buttons like you do inside Companion. And then I could push this to a device that is on the network. And so if I were to buy a 15-button or a 6-button module unit and attach it via PoE on my network, I could find it inside BitFocus button surfaces, and we could be off to the races. So that is the idea. I think, however, I need to... this is basically what I need. I need 6 functions, but I need to be able to click a button and I need it to turn on the television. I need it to turn on the AV. I need it to pause probably, which you can put a delay here. And then I need it to switch the input to the Chromecast input, right? Which is HDMI 1. But if I want to click movie, then I want that to turn on the TV. I want it to turn on the AV receiver. I want to change the input to input 2, but then I want to change the input on the receiver to be the DVD player, and I want the DVD player to turn on. So there's lots more to do there, right? So we've got Blu-ray players, I've got a Yamaha receiver, I've got a television that's actually kind of an older TV, and then I've got inputs that I need to change. And so allegedly this device will do all of those things, will allow me to figure that all out. And there is a module. Now, obviously I don't have a unit yet, but here it is. Global Cache is the product. I don't have a unit that's on my network yet, so I can't actually program any of these buttons to do anything. But there is a module for it, and apparently it's widely used. So kind of interested in this. What I'm really focused on is having functionality. I don't really care, too much about the way it looks right now. I could probably install buttons, BitFocus buttons on this Raspberry Pi, but I don't think that there is a download for that. I can maybe look that up for us. And I'll get back to the chat in just a second if you guys are over there talking. BitFocus Companion? BitFocus Companion. Where are we here? That's the emulator. Here we go. So BitFocus Companion. You go to the download section. I'm going to do this in front of you. Download section, software, BitFocus buttons. But then there is not a Raspberry Pi version of it, I don't think. So if we go documentation, products, buttons, go to documentation for buttons, surfaces, connections, workflows, routing. It doesn't look like there's anything in here about running BitFocus buttons on a Pi, which is weird, but I don't really care. What I really want here is Companion on Linux, and I want it to, I just want to be able to control the buttons from a surface that I add. Now, with Companion, you're not limited to one surface, right? So you can add multiple surfaces, which means that this single Raspberry Pi, if I'm going to have to buy more than one of these IR blasters, because I'm going to need to plug one in downstairs to control that system. But there's PoE down there already anyways, as you can imagine. And I can just set it up downstairs inside the entertainment system that's there. So I could program one of them here, the panel, to do that. The other alternative is I could buy a cheap touch screen tablet, right? And we could touchscreen tablet Windows, something cheap like a Microsoft Surface that could be mounted to the wall. Microsoft Surface Go mount. Yeah. So you do something like this where you could provide power to it and put it on the side of a wall, and then that could become your touchscreen control with the emulator for, I don't know, what, $200, which is about what you would pay for a Stream Deck. The other option then is this could become, you don't have to mount it to a wall. It could just be a tablet, right? So maybe you don't need a wall mount. Maybe it could be Wi-Fi enabled and it just has the emulator on the screen and you pull it up and push it. So, oh shoot, yeah, this is, am I crazy? Is this, these are refurbished. let's just say Microsoft Surface Go. It only needs to run a website. Oh, and actually, no, it only needs to run a web page on a local site. Quite frankly, I'd love to lock it down so it doesn't do anything else. What else could I buy? Is there a Linux tablet, touchscreen, Android, $100? I don't know, guys. Pop something in the chat. Help me figure this out, because I need something inexpensive. It's so frustrating that it seems like you can find equipment to do like 80% of what you need it to do. Rarely do we find stuff that does everything. Yeah, I had this happen to me the other day. Not the other day. When we bought social media managers. So we have multiple social media accounts for that nonprofit I work for, and I push a lot of like the YouTube shorts and all that stuff to it from our sermon series that we do on Sundays. And we were using free versions of stuff, and it worked for 80% of the platforms we had. We have like 5 or 6 platforms. So then I said, all right, like, can we buy a subscription to something and then it'll do all of the things we want it to do? And my direct report said, yep, that would be fine. Let's plan on doing that and make our life easy. And then we would have a calendar and a scheduler and everything. Because, by the way, Resi only pushes to 3 social media accounts. We use 5 or 6. So, like, Resi isn't even a good option for us. So I just went and I got what I thought I was getting was the best of the best. The number one platform, social media manager platform, is supposedly Hootsuite. That is the bee's knees. Everybody uses it. Add up to 100 platforms and blah, 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 blah. Hootsuite doesn't integrate with YouTube. How? How is that even possible? How is it possible that you haven't integrated YouTube's API, which is open for everyone to use, where you can push things to your social media accounts on YouTube? No, they do Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, they do everything but YouTube, which I think is insane. So who does everything that we use is Social Champ, and they're cheaper than Hootsuite, and they seem to work pretty well. Now they have their own bugs, and I was going to say bells and whistles, but they have their own bugs. Like sometimes your playlists don't show up like they're supposed to. So they have their own issues as well, but at least they're integrated with YouTube. So we use Social Champ, which is very strange. But yes, technology is that way, isn't it? Where you buy a universal remote and it does 80% of the things, but it doesn't quite do all of them. And you really need all of them. You need all of the function of the remote to change the inputs on the TV. That seems very basic. So I'm going to go down a rabbit hole where I'm going to buy one of these IR devices and see if I can't send API commands. If we go over to connections here and we say add a connection, Broadlink, there is a module for Broadlink, the Broadlink 4 Pro, okay, but not for the Max. And then as I got reading the Broadlink, the Broadlink 4 Pro wasn't great inside of Companion. So I think I need something that's a little bit more generic that I can customize to do my specific stuff. Because if I can do that and it works really well, then I'll get one for in here. I'll get one I'll get probably 2 for my office, and I'll get one for downstairs in the living room. So if it works, that's what I want. If it's not going to work, though, that's going to be a problem. So here we go. All right. So that is the plan going forward. That's I'm going to be using BitFocus Companion to do more of my IR control. What I kind of like about this is it doesn't like lock me into one specific way of controlling things. I can put a shortcut, for example, to the emulator on all of our phones. And so my wife can just click on the shortcut on her phone now. It'll open up the page, load the emulator real fast from Companion, which is running on a Raspberry Pi 24/7, and she can do what she needs to do. So you can also run multiple emulators, by the way. So inside Companion, I don't know if you know this, you probably all do because you're all smarter than me. You can run multiple emulators. So I have Theater Controller, and it's just basic, turn on Chromecast, volume down, volume up, movie, all that crap, okay? And I'm thinking of ways to indicate that you've pressed a button, so that's what that is. But you could go here and say emulators. I'm sorry. You go here and say surfaces. Where are we now? Surfaces. Add an emulator. We can call this living room control. And we can, make it, well, let's make it the same size. So we have rows, you have 3, and columns, you have 2, and we say add. And now we've got 2 emulators. So now when we go back to emulator and we say control room, we can change this to a different page, by the way. So let's do that real quick. So we want to add a page. So let's say, nope, not export page, not home position. Where do I do that here? There's page 1. Here we go. Page 1. So that's page 1. We're going to call this page 2 just for simplicity's sake. And then on our surfaces, on our emulator, we can light it up and say start on page 2 like this. And so now when we load our emulator, bow, living room, it loads page 2. Easy peasy. Depending on the room that we're in, right? So the theater has more bells and whistles than the living room. And my office will have different controls altogether. So I'll have TVs, but it won't have an amplifier per se. So I'll have multiple TVs. So perhaps we can customize it that way. But anyways, so we can load the emulator based on page. And I also wonder if you go to emulator and we say control room, let's open this in a new, I guess not. So this is the website that you need to go to, right? So if we copy this link, and let's just open like an incognito mode or something like that, private window, and we open this, paste, boom, opens that specific emulator. So this is the page that you need to export as the website, and then it'll always open that controller for you on your phone, which is pretty stinking cool. Matter of fact, I could even try to do that. So let me go to the emulator page, go to the living room. Let's go ahead and save this to bookmarks. And I'm going to save this under other bookmarks. Done. Then on my phone, I'm going to open up Brave, which is my browser of choice. And Face ID is done. We're going to open up bookmarks. Open up bookmarks. And I'm going to, where's bookmarks? Favorites? Brave, this isn't very helpful. Let's go to, it's here somewhere. Just give me a second. I got it. Add bookmark. Found that one. Show all settings, maybe? No. That's the back button. There's got to be a bookmark in here somewhere. How is this so difficult? Show more? Nope. Cancel. Whoa. Oh, here we go. Is this it? Open sync settings, vMix, this one. Oh, cancel. Sync bookmarks. It literally says that. And I can't find bookmarks anywhere. Okay, so this is all very exciting, I know. Let's just type in. Let's see if it will. 192. .236 port 8000 / emulator. Done? No. All right, well, that's real fun, but really annoying that I can't just quickly get to this. So let's try one more thing here. I know it's not there. Hey, there it is. I'm on the network, right? BitFocus emulator, right here. There it is. All right, so page 2, emulate. Oh, sorry, put that over my face. Come on. See if it'll focus on. I'm sorry, everybody. There you go. So there's the emulator that we were just looking at here. And all you got to go is go to the website, and then I can press the buttons, and they function. Boom. Oh, that's cool. I went back to page 1. So now we're here, and I can press those buttons. Easy peasy. Oh, let me show you that. It's actually showing it happening from my phone because I'm looking at the same emulator as this website. So that's kind of nice. I mean, that's all I really need, and that means if I need more buttons, I can just create it inside the emulator, and I'm not limited to a Stream Deck, and I'm not limited to whatever. It can just become a big touch surface that I need. So we need to do something about finding a device. It literally needs to open a website and should not be used for anything other than that. Connect to the internet, connect to the network. I don't need a keyboard. I literally need a touch device that will, something cheap, something I can break if I have to. Overall pick this 16-inch. This thing's bigger than my iPad. These massive cameras on it. Again, don't need any of that. I just need... All right, so I'll be on the lookout for something like that because that's pretty great that even if it's a slow tablet, it's fine. And it should be smallish. I don't need it to be, 10 inches is fine. And again, I don't really need the cameras. I just need something basic. A couple of these that are $90. That are just Android. Open a website or a bookmark that's on the page, and you're off to the races, you know? So that's kind of a cool idea. And I think that will make it a lot easier for my wife and kids to control the home theater system once the API commands are all done inside of Companion, which will run on a Raspberry Pi at all times. And then these iPads, or whatever we're going to call these, can just... Oh, and quite honestly, we really don't even need this. Because my kids have an iPad, and my wife has a phone, and I have a phone. I could just make a website. I don't even need to buy a device. I mean, it would be nice to have something mounted to a wall, so like when a babysitter comes over, they can turn the system on. But maybe that's a question for another day. You know, maybe that's a project for another day. Perhaps for now, the money needs to be going into getting this IR thing. So let's go back to that real quick. There are terrible videos, by the way, on this device. They're hard to watch. This is called IP to IR. This guy right here. What? 121. Get out of here. There, this one. Global Cache. There are other ones too. I don't know if you saw that right here. I'm not too sure what they do. But apparently this is the bee's knees. So I'm going to check that one out. Cool stuff. Okay. This is the one that I'm going to order. Matter of fact, I'm just going to order it because I'll be returning these, and I'll basically get the same price back as what I'm about to spend on this. So I can afford to pay for this now, I think, and then we'll get reimbursed probably Sunday when I return those two products. So to recap briefly, Broadlink, they make a generic IR blaster. It's okay. It'll work for probably 80% of the world. For the other 20% that needs something a little bit more integral, we're going to have to continue to look. Harmony, Logitech Harmony really kind of set the bar in terms of being able to create custom scenes so that you could hit a button on your phone and it would go through the sequence. Something I didn't mention is that Logitech used to be integrated with voice activated systems, and so you could say, hey, so and so, like turn on the movie or turn on Chromecast, and it would do the scene for you in sequence. So hey, turn off Chromecast, and it would know, okay, turn off that sequence, and it would be able to press the button for you essentially. That's the level of that's like next level integration that I think I'm looking for. But first we're going to integrate it with Companion, and then there will probably be a way to bridge that voice activation through Companion. Hey, click the Companion button called Movie or something like that. It also doesn't help that I have movie stuff up here, movie stuff down there, two different sound systems, two different TV. It's wild. And because I have all those individual things, I feel like we should be able to call individual commands. So that's the plan. I'm going to order that here today. It looks like it will be here. Let me go to the cart. Whoops. It will be here on Sunday. So the same day that I return products is the same day I get reimbursed is the same day this will arrive. So potato. One final little thing that I've been working on that I'm kind of excited about, which I think I talked about last week, but perhaps it wasn't this far along, is I've been working on a screened-in porch on the back of my house. And that screened-in porch kind of looks like this now. So we're coming along, and we've got the actual screens are here. So I'm going to work on all the work that I've kind of missed this week. I'm almost caught up, but I got to get a couple of final things done, and then I'm going to go outside and start putting this together. So hopefully by the end of the day or the end of tomorrow for sure, this should be finished. And I've got all the parts here, so I'm ready to go, and it's going to be great. It's going to be so nice. Oh, yesterday I got a latch in the mail, and so I don't know if you've ever been to summer camp. Every screen door at summer camp apparently has these, those metal clink things that the screen door opens, and then when it closes, that shuts it and it kind of holds it tight. That's happening, and so I have one of those. That I put that on last night, and it works perfectly. And this is actually the second one I purchased because the first one didn't close on its own. So this is the second one I purchased, and it works great. So I'm quite happy about that. So that's today's project. Hoping next week we're going to have drywall begin. I talked to the builder yesterday because I haven't been able to get a hold of the drywaller for some reason. But he's an older guy, so I'm going to give him some room. But I talked to the builder, and he said, I suspect that after he's done the two projects I have him booked for, which is supposed to be done early next week, he's headed to your place. So maybe keep trying to give him a call. And I said, well, I'll call him again tomorrow, which would be today. I need to give him a call and see if he'll pick up. But if I don't hear from him for Monday, I'd appreciate some help kind of moving that conversation along. He said, absolutely no problem. So that is the plan. We're going to get drywall done and paid for, and I'm pretty excited that that's all happening because that means that I'm one step closer to moving in to the new studio and the office. It won't be done on the day that I move in. I'll still need to do doors and a few other things inside that will cost money. But HVAC is the next big thing. So after drywall will be paint and then HVAC. Honestly, the paint is not really that expensive in my brain compared to the HVAC part. So HVAC, I need heating and cooling in there ASAP, and then I can move my heat generating equipment into that space. So HVAC, probably paint, HVAC, carpet, and then in we go. So in the meantime, electrical needs to be finished and tested. Lights need to be installed and tested. So once the drywall goes in, there'll be so much to do. I'm really excited about that. But that project is coming along, guys, and I'm going to be in there, I'm hoping, before July. So I know I was saying May, and then I was saying June. So July 1st is I'm swinging for that. I'm swinging for that fence. I'm trying to get in there before then. Hopefully we will. I'm just looking to see if I have a recent picture of the barn. Date created. There we go. Barn. What's the last thing I took out there? It's just of the roof. So I put in a channel system for the ceiling because this is not double walled. So there's a channel system there that will hold the roof. But then the rest of these walls are all doubled. So everything's ready. I'm ready for them to come in. I may go out there and spray paint where the studs are so I know where they're at. But other than that, I think we're ready to go. So, all right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for stopping on by. I know today was kind of a strange day. Oh, what's going on, Angus? Sorry I missed you. Hey, I'm late today. I couldn't have made it at all yesterday. I'm still salty about Logitech killing off Harmony. Yeah, me too. Because it is a great product. It actually still works. Mine is still plugged in here, and I'm going to use it until I get the global IR thing up and running and tested. But I'm still bitter about Harmony because it actually worked, and they actually had many of the codes integrated. I'm sure that it wasn't a big sale item for them, and so they killed it off. But the competition is not doing a great job in keeping up. And apparently, the global, what's it called? Global Cache IP to IR ITAC is worth checking out. So I'm going to definitely do that and give it a go. I'm going to work with it for about a month and see if it works for me. And then if it does, then I will, I'll let you guys know, because if it works as well as I hope it does. And by the way, it should work with my current IR sensors from my Harmony hub. I have 2 of those already. So I can use one in this one and one in the one downstairs. And if those work really well, then I'll buy a system for my office. So onward and upward. It's been a busy week. Lots to do, lots to still complete. But I'm going to get my work done and then get outside and work on my little screened-in project and hopefully have some of that done before my wife gets home. She is very excited about having that space. And so am I. But, you still try and impress your girlfriend all these years later. All right, guys. Take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for hanging out. I will be back regular time next week, Thursday. And we're going to talk about my PepLink unit, which I was going to do this week. But I need to return these products. That's why I bumped that. We're going to talk about PepLink 1 year in and what I've changed and what I've done differently to make it work even better. So stay tuned. Next week will be fun. But I really appreciate you guys all coming along for the ride and hanging out. We'll see you guys next time. Thursday, 10 o'clock. That's all. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.